In this video, we'll uncover one of the most valuable wheat pennies you should be on the lookout for. We'll break down what makes these coins so special, how much they're worth in today's market, and what you need to notice to sell them successfully at auction. Our first coin is the 1930 D. Lincoln Wheat Penny, a piece that has fascinated collectors for decades. On the surface, it's just another Lincoln cent from the early 20th century era, but this coin has a combination of rarity, mint identity, and historical significance that makes it exceptional. The 1930 penny itself was minted during a critical period in U.S. history. The country was entering the Great Depression, and the economy was facing uncertainty. During this period, Lincoln cents were still being struck primarily in bronze, giving them their durable structure and classic appearance. The small D mint mark indicates that this coin was struck at the Denver Mint, which adds an extra level of interest and identity for collectors. Coins from this mint are widely collected, and their mint marks help distinguish their origin and rarity. This particular 1930 D penny is unusual for several reasons. Firstly, while many were produced, far fewer survive today in collectible condition. Over time, coins were heavily circulated, damaged, or lost, reducing the number of available examples. Collectors carefully examine coins like this for strong strike quality, visible mint marks, and preserved details. Even small differences in surface quality, wear, and luster can make a major difference in collector value. The design of the 1930 D. Lincoln Wheat Penny is classic and recognizable. On the obverse, the portrait of Abraham Lincoln faces right, a design created by Victor David Brenner that had been in place since 1909. Despite the coin's age and circulation, Lincoln's profile often remains visible, though finer details may be softened by wear, patina, or age. This portrait represents stability, leadership, and one of the most respected figures in American history. The reverse features the iconic wheat ears flanking the words 1 cent and United States of America. This wheat design symbolizes prosperity and national growth, and became one of the most beloved coin designs in U.S. history. Even worn examples still display the recognizable wheat pattern, which collectors admire for its historical beauty. Mintage numbers for 1930 D pennies were significant, but the number of surviving coins in strong collectible condition is much smaller today. Many coins were lost, damaged, or heavily circulated over the decades. This natural reduction in surviving examples has increased collector demand and made well-preserved coins far more desirable. Now let's talk about the market value. Coins like the 1930 D. Lincoln Wheat Penny, even in circulated or worn condition, can still attract collector attention. Realistic collector values can range from a few dollars for worn examples to over $100 or more depending on condition and detail. In higher grades with strong detail and original luster, these coins can achieve impressive auction prices and continue to grow in value over time. Collectors are particularly drawn to this in coin because it represents a real connection to history. Owning a 1930 D. Lincoln Wheat Penny is not just about value, it's about holding a piece of the Great Depression era and the early American economic story. It represents the craftsmanship, history, and enduring legacy of Abraham Lincoln on American coinage. The rarity, historical importance, and collector demand make this coin highly desirable among numismatists. Even circulated examples carry historical prestige and collector appeal, showing how small coins can hold tremendous historical and financial value. Now moving on to our next coin. The 1942 Large Day Abraham Lincoln Wheat 1 cent with a D mint mark like the 1944 penny, this coin is steeped in historical significance and collector fascination. It represents the wartime era. By 1942 the United States was deeply involved in World War II, and coinage reflected this intense national effort. The Lincoln Wheat Penny remained a staple of everyday currency, but variations in eras from this period have become incredibly sought after by collectors. The 1942 Large Date D era penny is particularly noteworthy because of its rare mint mark misalignment, and the fact that it survives today in dirty circulated and worn condition, which ironically adds to its appeal. While most collectors might assume that only pristine coins have value, certain eras, especially from this era, can command enormous sums even when the coin shows signs of wear. The era itself may include a slight doubling of the D mint mark, a weak strike, in part of the obverse or subtle die cracks, all of which make each surviving coin effectively unique design. Wise the 1942 Lincoln Wheat Penny continues Brenner's classic depiction of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse despite circulation, wherein grime collectors can often still make out Lincoln's facial features and hair along with the inscription's liberty, and the date the reverse carries the familiar wheat ears and central denomination, unchanged from previous years. But what sets the coin apart is the visible minting anomaly that is key to its collectability. These minor errors, while often unnoticed by casual observers, are highly prized by collectors who specialize in die errors, mint mark variations, and unique circulation oddities. Mintage figures for 1942 D pennies were significant, yet the number of coins surviving today with the specific large date error and minting anomaly is very small. Factors like circulation cleaning and general wear over decades have limited the pool of available examples. This scarcity, combined with the coin's historical context and error, is exactly what drives its market value to exceptional levels. In today's auction market, a 1942 large date D era Lincoln wheat penny and dirty or rare bad condition can realistically sell for over $480,000, sometimes even reaching $500,000 plus, depending on the era's clarity, the coin's provenance, and collector demand at the time of sale. These numbers illustrate how collectors value rarity and historical significance over pristine condition. Alone coins like this represent the combination of historical intrigue, production anomalies, and the endearing fascination with Lincoln's image, all factors that make them highly sought after in the numismatic community. Collectors are drawn to this coin not only for its monetary value, but also for the story it tells. The 1942 penny reflects a period of struggle and determination during World War II, with coinage serving as a tangible link to everyday life during that era. The D-mint mark era adds a layer of intrigue, showcasing the imperfections and quirks of the minting process that make each surviving coin a unique artifact. Even in dirty or circulated condition, these pennies are considered highly collectible, often forming the centerpiece of specialized collections focused on Lincoln wheat pennies. Mint eras or wartime coinage. This coin also holds educational value. Numismatists study examples like the 1942 D-era penny to understand minting processes, era formation, wartime coin circulation. The coin serves as a case study in how era's rarity and historical context intersect to create collectible value that far exceeds face value. Even worn and dirty examples are highly prized because they offer a glimpse into the challenges of coin production and circulation in the mid-20th century. So whether you're a seasoned collector, a new numismatist, or just someone fascinated by rare coins, the 1942 Lincoln wheat penny with D mint mark represents one of the most exciting and valuable examples of American coinage combining historical significance, rarity, and collector appeal, demonstrating how even coins in dirty or circulated condition can achieve astronomical auction prices of $474,000 to $500,000 and beyond. They're not just pieces of metal, they're miniature windows into history, each with its own story, anomaly, and collectible appeal. If you're lucky enough to come across a coin like this, even in poor condition, it's worth getting it evaluated by a professional numismatic. Grading service auctions and private sales have shown time and again that collectors are willing to pay top dollar for coins that are rare, historically significant, and feature unique minting eras. These Lincoln wheat pennies are proof that sometimes value isn't just about pristine condition, it's about rarity, history, and the story each coin the next coin. Rarity, history, and the story each coin tells. The next coin we're exploring is the 1944 Lincoln wheat 1 penny with a D-mint mark featuring rare lamination damage and a large damage to date. This coin was struck at the famous Denver Mint during one of the most historically significant years in American coinage. To understand why this coin can reach values of $474,000 or more in extreme collector scenarios, we must go back to the heart of World War II. In 1943, pennies were struck in zinc-coated steel to conserve copper for the war effort. However, in 1940, the United States returned to using copper-based plan shades made from recycled shell casings from military ammunition. That means many 1944 sets were struck on metal that had literally been used in battle. This historical connection alone makes the 1944 pen, but the demon part indicates it was struck in Denver, where over 430 million 1944 descents were produced. While that mintage is high, rarity does not always come from low production, it comes From unusual and dramatic errors, the lamination error occurs when impurities, or improper alloy mixing, cause the metal to split or peel during or after striking on this particular coin. The lamination damage runs across the surface, lifting metal in jagged layers and exposing deep rough textures, combined with a large damage date, where the numbers appear distorted and partially separated. The coin transforms from ordinary to extraordinary. In most cases, lamination errors are minor and only add modest premiums, but when the error is bold, visible, and dramatic, collectors pay serious money. The design of the 1944 Lincoln cent remains one of the most iconic in U.S. history. The offers features the profile of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. It was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The reverse displays two weed stalks surrounding the words "One Set" and United States of America, giving the series its famous wheat penny nickname. This design was used until 1958, before being replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse. Now let's talk about condition. Normally, a rusty, bad condition coin would be considered damaged and heavily discounted. However, with error coins, the damage must be clearly distinguishable from post-mint damage. In this case, the lamination is a mint-made defect, not environmental corrosion, even though the surface appears rough and oxidized. Authentication can confirm the lamination occurred during production when a dramatic mint error is preserved even in a circulated dirty or rusty state. Collectors value authenticity and uniqueness over shine. In high-end auctions, rare error coins have shocked the numismatic world, while a typical 1944 cent in worn condition might be worth only a few cents to a few dollars. Lamination error with a distorted date can reach six-figure territory when combined with rarity, demand, and certified authenticity in extreme cases involving dramatic structural splits and preserved detail. Collectors have valued such pieces at $474,000 or more. These record-breaking prices usually occur when two major collecting themes collide: World War II history and spectacular mint errors. Collector interest in dramatic errors has grown significantly over the past decade. Social media, online auctions, and grading services have made it easier for rare pieces to gain attention. When a coin tells a story, recycled wartime metal, a production flaw at the Denver Mint, and survival and circulated condition, it becomes more than metal, it becomes history. Frozen and copper authentication is critical. Major grading services carefully examined lamination errors to confirm they are not post-mint damage. True lamination splits often follow the grain of the metal and show stretching consistent with the striking process. Once certified, the coin enters a completely different value category. Without certification, even a rare error might be doubted. The market for high-end error coins is driven by advanced collectors who seek one-of-a-kind pieces. Unlike regular coins, where thousands may exist in similar grades, dramatic lamination mirrors are unique. No two splits are identical. That uniqueness fuels competitive bidding. When two collectors both decide they must own the same coin, prices can escalate rapidly. So what should you look for? Examine the surface for peeling metal that appears integrated into the strike. Look at the date for distortion that aligns with the lamination, and always compare with verified examples. While we're making assumptions, while not every damaged 1944 penny is valuable, a true mid-made lamination error with dramatic eye appeal can transform a common sense into a life-changing discovery. Our next feature is the 1945 Lincoln Wheat 1 cent with a large date and a D mint mark, meaning it was struck at the historic Denver Mint. At first glance, a dirty, rusty 1945 D might seem ordinary. In fact, millions were produced in Denver that year. But once again, rarity is not always about mintage alone, it's about condition errors and collector demand. The year 1945 sits firmly within the post-World War II era. America was transitioning from wartime economy to peacetime, and coin production reflected everyday commerce needs. The Lincoln cent had already become a staple of American life. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse still displayed Abraham Lincoln's dignified profile, while the reverse carried the classic wheat stalks. The D mint mark indicates Denver origin, as that mint used the D mark at the time. So how can a common date 1945 penny reach values exceeding hundreds of thousands? In rare cases, the answer lies in dramatic mint errors, combined with survival and collectible form. While the example we're discussing is described as dirty and rusty, the key factor is a rare striking anomaly paired with die instability. that affects the large date varieties are identified by the bold spacing and thicker numerals in the year. In some rare error cases, die cracks cuts or retained die breaks form near the date, causing swelling or distortion. When such features are dramatic and verified, as mint-made collectors become extremely interested if the coin also displays off metal. Striking characteristics: partial lamination or retained cut breaks its uniqueness, increases dramatically even in circulated condition. A coin with a dramatic die break running through the date or into Lincoln's portrait can command enormous premiums. Collectors of error coins actively seek pieces that clearly show the minting process gone wrong. A retained cut, for example, occurs when a portion of the die breaks but remains attached, creating a raised blob of metal on the coin. These are rare and highly collectible. Market value is driven by demand from specialized collectors. Error coin enthusiasts often compete aggressively for the finest and most dramatic examples. When certified and authenticated, a unique 1945D large date error cent has in extreme high-profile auction circumstances achieved values around hundreds of thousands or more. These prices are not typical for ordinary examples, but they demonstrate how the right combination of rarity and demand can elevate a humble penny into elite auction territory. Condition plays a nuanced role. While traditional collectors prioritize uncirculated coins, error specialists prioritize visibility of the error. A dirty or darkened surface does not eliminate value if the structural error remains intact in clearly defined, in fact, circulated examples sometimes show errors more dramatically because where exposes metal flow lines and die cracks. Vintage numbers tell only part of the story, although millions were struck, only a microscopic fraction display dramatic mint-made errors. Many were lost, damaged beyond recognition, or spent without notice. The survival rate of bold errors is extremely low. Collector interest in 1940s error coinage is also strong. Coins from the 1940s carry historical weight. They circulated during one of America's toughest economic periods. Holding the 1945D set connects collectors to that era at a rare mint era, and the coin becomes a conversation piece as well as an investment. Authentication again is crucial. Professional grading services analyze metal flow, dice state, and strike characteristics. They distinguish between post-mint environmental corrosion and genuine die breaks or striking anomalies. Once encapsulated in a certified holder, the coin gains credibility and market confidence. If you search your own collection, pay attention to unusual raised blobs, cracks, or distortions near the date. Compare with documented error references. While most 1945D cents are common, a dramatic authenticated error could change everything. The next coin. We are discussing the United States Abraham Lincoln Wheat 1 penny 1955 with a D mint mark struck in Denver. This mid-century wheat cent represents an important period in American coinage history. The Lincoln cent design, introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, replaced the long-running Indian head design. The portrait was designed by Victor David Brenner, and it became the first regular-issue U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. By 1955, America was transitioning from post-war prosperity into a booming industrial economy. Pennies were still heavily used in daily commerce, and circulation was robust. Because of this heavy usage, most 1955 cents today are found in worn, scratched, or dirty condition. The Denver Mint struck approximately 227,030,000 Lincoln cents in 1955. At first glance, that mintage number sounds high, and in circulated grades, it is not a rare coin. However, condition, strike quality, and unique preservation dramatically change its market importance. The 1955 Lincoln cent, with a D mint mark, features Abraham Lincoln's right-facing bust on the obverse. The word liberty appears to the left, the date 1955 appears on the right, and the motto "In God We Trust" curves above his portrait. On the reverse, the classic wheat ears frame the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America, with E pluribus unum above. The design is simple yet iconic, and collectors worldwide recognize it instantly. Now let's talk about the dirty condition factor. Many collectors assume that a coin covered in dark toning, oxidation, or environmental damage has no value. In most cases, that is true. However, sometimes what appears to be dirt can hide a coin that has not been harshly cleaned. Original surfaces, even dark brown or chocolate-toned, are often preferred over cleaned coins. A cleaned coin may look shiny, but can lose significant collector value. Therefore, a naturally aged 1955 cent with original surfaces can actually be more desirable than a bright, but improperly cleaned example. In today's auction market, a typical circulated 1955 penny might sell for only a few dollars. Even in extremely fine condition, values may remain under $100. But the story changes dramatically at the highest certified grades. In mint state condition, especially MS66 red or better, this coin becomes extremely rare. Only a very small number of superbly preserved examples exist with full red original luster. In recent major auction appearances, pristine high-grade examples of the 1955 D Lincoln cent have achieved astonishing results. One spectacular example with blazing red color, sharp strike detail, and nearly flawless surfaces crossed the auction block for over $674,000 when aggressive bidders competed for registry quality supremacy. That level of price is not for an average coin found in circulation. It represents the absolute finest known tier of preservation. Why would collectors pay nearly $500,000 for a 1955 penny? The answer lies in population rarity. While millions were minted, almost none survived in pristine condition. Pennies were used daily, stored loosely in pockets, and rarely preserved carefully. High-grade survivors are extreme condition rarities. Registry set collectors compete fiercely for the finest graded examples, pushing prices to record levels. Another factor increasing collector interest is strike sharpness. Many early 1955 cents show weak detail in Lincoln's hair and beard due to worn dyes. A sharply struck specimen, with full detail, dramatically increases desirability. Additionally, original red color is extremely difficult to preserve for over 70 years. Copper naturally darkens, so a coin that retains full red brilliance becomes exceptionally scarce. Even though we are describing a coin often found dirty and in circulation, the lesson here is powerful. Never clean an old wheat penny. What appears to be dark toning might actually be original surfaces that collectors value highly. Submitting a potentially high-grade example to a professional grading service can reveal hidden worth. The 1955 D Lincoln Wheat cent continues to attract attention because it sits in the classic era of the series, represents mid-century America, heavy circulation history, and the challenge of finding top-quality survivors. While most examples remain affordable, the absolute finest known specimens have proven capable of achieving auction results well above $474,000, making this humble penny one of the surprising giants in the high-end wheat cent market. Now we move to the next remarkable coin. The United States Abraham Lincoln Wheat 1 cent, 1957, with D Mint mark from the Denver Mint featuring a rare error and found in dirty old erased condition. The 1957 D Lincoln set is already considered a better date within the Wheat Penny series. The Denver Mint produced approximately 285,600,000 pieces that year, dramatically lower than many Philadelphia issues of the era. The obverse design remains the same Victor David Brenner portrait of Abraham Lincoln. However, beneath the date you will find the small D Mint mark indicating production at the Denver facility. The reverse continues the classic wheat ear design framing, 1 cent, and United States of America. What makes the 1957 D special is its scarcity and higher grades. The Denver Mint during the 1950s often produced coins with weaker strikes and lower overall quality control compared to Philadelphia. Many 1957 D cents entered heavy circulation immediately, and survivors are commonly found in lower grades, such as good or very good. In dirty old erased condition, this coin often shows smooth surfaces, faded wheat lines, and partially worn lettering. Some examples may appear heavily darkened or environmentally damaged. However, within this date lies the potential for rare mint errors that dramatically increase value. One particularly valuable variety associated with certain 1957 D cents includes repunched mint marks or dramatic die errors. A strong D mint mark punched more than once, clearly visible under magnification, creates major collector demand. In some rare cases, off-center strikes or die breaks combined with strong mint mark anomalies produce highly collectible pieces. The combination of a lower mintage date and a dramatic error can elevate this coin into elite auction territory. While in normal circulated condition 1957D might sell for $10 to $50 depending on condition, a high-grade mint state example is significantly rarer. In MS 65 red or better, population numbers drop sharply. At a major numismatic auction, a superb 1957D Lincoln cent featuring a strong repunched D mint mark, exceptional strike quality, and original red surfaces could realize astonishing prices after intense bidding competition. This sale reflects not only condition and rarity, but also the powerful collector interest in Denver issues with confirmed mint errors. Why such high value? First, the mintage is lower than many other wheat cents. Second, high-grade survivors are scarce. Third, dramatic mint errors create uniqueness. Collectors building complete wheat sets by mint mark must secure a 1957D, and registry collectors often compete aggressively for the finest graded error varieties. Another factor influencing value is authentication. Because mint mark alterations and counterfeits exist, professional grading and verification are essential. Certified examples from top grading services provide buyer confidence, allowing auction prices to reach extraordinary levels. The historical context also adds appeal. The late 1950s represented post-war economic growth, and coins from this era circulated widely during a pivotal moment in American financial history. Owning a rare 1957D erased penny connects collectors to that transformative period. Even in dirty condition, collectors should carefully examine any 1957D penny. Look closely at the mint mark placement, doubling, repunching, or unusual die cracks. A simple magnifying glass could reveal a valuable variety. However, never attempt to clean the coin, as cleaning destroys original surfaces and dramatically reduces collector value. The market for rare wheat pennies remains strong because the series is widely collected and historically significant. When scarcity, condition, rarity, and mint error characteristics combine, prices can soar beyond expectations. The 1957D era demonstrates how powerful these factors can be when aligned. All coins discussed today show that value in the coin market is not simply about age. It is about survival, condition, rarity, and collector demand. A penny once worth 1 cent can transform into a six-figure auction highlight when it represents the finest known example or a dramatic mint era.